Welcome back here, folks, for another episode of The Corner. Today we got Mugen, who has been a guest on before, really cool guy, and my co-host Troy Trostrup. What's up, guys? How are you?
How you doing, man?
Hey,
Doing well.
what's up, man?
What's up, man? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Um, like really excited to finally get the Friday off since that's like apparently been become a problem at my workplace. But that's how it is.
Mm.
Um, what about you? How are your week going? You surviving the COVID situation and everything?
Um, yeah, yeah, online, in my room typically. Everything's online on my end, though I am starting to go back to work starting the end of this month and next month as well.
Wow.
So, looking forward to that. So it gives me something to do outside of the house. I mean, occasionally I go on walks.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, man, like you said, like you actually like have a really interesting job. I mean, like you said that you're the manager of a mini golf course.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a small mini golf course in my city. So I work with the Parks or Recreation of my city, and so they well, I was a camp counselor for one summer. I want to say a 2 summers ago. So the summer before COVID, and so when COVID hit, um, you know, everything was kind of like they sort of changed. Like we couldn't do summer camp anymore because of the regulations, and there was low enrollment rates as well. So that we didn't I didn't really have a spot, but they still wanted me to work for them, so they passed on my since I was a good employee. The summer before, they passed on my info to the mini golf that's like right in the same facility. And so, I met up with my boss, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I need some attendance for assistance or attendance for the mini golf. And after I'm done with that, will I be interested in being manager?" So I was like, "Yeah, of course, yeah, sure." So I didn't really have to do an interview. It was kind of like just meet up, talk a little bit about my schedule and whatnot, schoolwork, or rather school calendar, and then yeah. So,
Wow.
but it's really chill though. It's
Yeah.
it's very simple. Still look good on your resume though.
Yeah, man. Any manager job
Yeah.
would do that.
Yeah.
But like it seems like really helpful though because it seems like they are willing to put like your work schedule around your school schedule so that they can
Yeah.
like.
So yeah, because it's seasonal. Anyways, it's not year round. It's seasonal, and so assuming that I do go on campus again, which I did for like my first 3 years in my university, but ever since the COVID thing, I've been online, so I work from home. But despite that, I prefer to just let them know that look, I won't be in the city for from this time to this time, right? But it doesn't really matter that much because of the what do you call it, of the nature of the job. It's a seasonal job, so it's like starts in May, ends in like July or August, not July, or August or September. So typically after July, I mean, after August, I can't really work anymore because I have to prepare to like go back on campus. But that might not be the case this year. But I still like leave that open. I just let them know just in case.
Yeah, still, man. Like it allows you the chance to like make a nice jump of change before you start at school, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's fresh air.
Yeah, man. What about you, Troy? Have you experienced any interesting stuff this week?
This week is lying pretty low for me actually, because my roommate is out of town. He is in a summer house with his parents. They are like celebrating late Easter, So for me, it's been like just work and study, just work and study, just pretty much boring shit. But I do enjoy listening to you guys at this point. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no
interesting
problem.
to see what's happening outside of the world, especially because this COVID situation is just dragging on. Like
No,
it's just
I actually think that like the COVID situation is about to end. At
yeah,
least
yeah,
when
of course it
yeah,
is, but like it just still takes a while before, especially in Denmark, before everyone is vaccinated. I mean, like I heard there
yeah.
was forecasts that everyone was going to be vaccinated in July, but I don't know how that will hold up.
No,
I don't know.
that's not precisely what they said. What they said is that everybody will have been offered the vaccine by July, but doesn't
Oh
mean
yeah,
like
yeah,
that
but
it's
yeah, but
taken it.
I mean that's
But that's
basically the
it.
same thing, but then it's just up to people whether they will take it or not. I mean you
But
really gotta be an asshole to not to take it.
they're
Uh,
going to they're going to like start opening everything up after like everybody in the risk groups has been vaccinated and everybody above age 50 plus or so. But I mean, like, it's a question about the will. I mean, like, look at Israel. They fucking vaccinated 10 million people in 2 months.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, man. But not only that, like, it's also like the general mentality around the world, and within investments firms, people are just generally tired of COVID. So the world is like starting to adapt and starting to return to the normal.
At least cinemas are
Absolutely.
gonna be open again in May, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, true.
true that.
I do enjoy going to the cinema.
Yeah, I
That's
was gonna
like
ask that.
one of the
Like,
few things I do.
are you a big movie fan? Not
Uh,
just movie fan, but going to the cinemas actually.
I mean, if I could, I would go to the cinema because usually I go with my siblings all the time. We usually do this thing because Marvel movies typically come out around our birthdays,
Yeah.
so in July or in May. So we usually like go out together and watch movies, Marvel movies to the theater. But occasionally, there's moments where we just go watch a non-Marvel movie as well. So it's like the cinema is like one of the few things that we do you know, as a family outside of the house, like when we go outside. So yeah, so I kind of missed that a little bit. But I am a movie fan. I've watched like there's I haven't watched a ton of movies, but I've watched a lot of movies. So yeah, I would say I'm a movie fan. Cinema too. I enjoy going to the theaters.
Yeah, I get you, man. I mean, like that's been the worst thing for me during this COVID pandemic because before I used to go like at least once a month because like I'm a big movie fan as well, and yeah, I get what you're saying. Like for me, both with the not just with the family, but also with my friends and even colleagues. Been there with people that I studied with. So yeah, it's a big part of my life that has been cut out, that has been like just surgically removed by this little thing that is smaller than a freaking neuron. I don't even know, but yeah, that is smaller than a freaking breadcrumb.
It's
Uh,
also it's also just a totally different feeling watching a movie at a movie theater than watching it on your TV because you have like the big screen, you have
yeah,
you have like you have the projector, you have the seats, you
fewer
know.
distractions as well. Like think,
Yeah,
The
yeah.
audio,
yeah,
everything.
I mean, think about it. When you're watching at home in front, like if you're watching Netflix, then like you get all these these hankerings or these like trigger impulses where you're like, no, now I gotta get some food, or oh, now my roommate is knocking, now I gotta talk to him. Like at the cinema, you don't got that. There, you're just in there, and if you miss the movie, then that's a really bad thing. So there, you have no distractions.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Definitely.
yeah,
And also it is frowned upon in the movie theaters to sit on your phone during the movie, right?
they have. I don't know. Do they have these commercials in America too about turning off your phone?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do.
Okay, yeah, there's like they usually do a big, like they get very creative here in Denmark. Like a lot of like the most recent one I watched was where the theater where you saw a theater that they had like enacted a theater where there was a bunch of people sitting watching it, and then the theater was like there was an earthquake, and it was shaking and stuff, and then like at the end of the day, that was just because there was a phone ringing. So that was kind of like a funny comedic situation of the phone ringing causing an earthquake.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know.
Usually here they have like a bunch the commercials. You can't really tell. I mean, if you've been to the movies enough times, you know that even if it starts weird, they're gonna tie in it to you turning off your phone. But usually they do like a Coca-Cola ad or something, and they tie it to, oh, the movie's starting, turn off your phone kind of thing. Sometimes they get creative too. I can't really recall a really creative one that I vividly remember, but usually it's like they do both. So they like advertise a product, and then at the same time they're like, okay, turn off your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, like advertise the popcorns or the soda, and then
Oh yeah.
they tied into
they
yeah.
do that here too, largely.
Yeah.
And then of course we have always the big bear. We have here the big polar bear, which is the hallmark of Nordisk film, the film company here that is almost monopolized. No,
Oh,
it's
really?
not really monopolized, but it's like they have a big share of the movie market. I don't know. Is that actually Norway? Is that a thing too? The polar bear?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I guess that's. I guess it's all Scandinavia.
Yeah, that is all of Scandinavia. But yeah, man, looking forward to that. That we can use the movie theaters again.
Yeah.
I was like unaware of that America was actually that much locked down, because there hasn't been every state that has taken the corona crisis equally serious. Like fucking, sorry for swearing, Texas opened up, right? Everything. And
Not entirely. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, no. Okay, like I felt like Texas was like opening up everything, and Florida, since they had all those issues on South Beach in Miami, where people went to take their spring break because everything was like still open and they could party, and then they had to like forcefully infuse like curfew to try and get like students out of the area. But I don't know, man. How is it? Is everything like locked down or what? Yes.
Can you hear me?
In
I'm
the
not
US,
completely sure. Yeah, in the US.
In the US, yeah.
Yeah, because I thought it was like I thought. No, I'm sorry. Like I thought that was like the opposite. That everything was not locked down, since I'm not seeing that everybody are like getting these like big help packages and crisis loans in the US.
In the U.S., I'm not sure about every state. I know in Maryland, which is where I live, yeah, it's been shut down, and well, especially the big things like the malls and big communal space are shut down, like malls. But even smaller markets, everything's you gotta wear a mask for everything. So at the very least, but yeah, America is like America is like a country where you could divide it into smaller countries, to be honest, because of the dynamic
Yeah.
of each state. It can vary a lot. You know, for like you mentioned Texas, for example, Texas, Cali,
I mean,
New
yeah,
York, and then the smaller ones. You know,
Texas is bigger than Germany, just for comparison.
yeah,
So yeah, I can.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and plus the way it's structured, you know how the states are independent and they have their own, you know, laws and all that. So I couldn't I couldn't tell you. I haven't really followed what each state is handling the pandemic, but overall I would say they still all have the basic mask regulations, but it might just the inhabitants themselves, the overall perception of the inhabitants of each state might differ, in the sense that, you know, I guess assuming like Texans, if that's what you call them, Texans might be like, yeah, I don't want to wear masks or anything. But I guess, but to be honest, it's kind of like how everyone feels. To be honest, including me, I like preferably I wouldn't want to wear a mask, but people don't like. I don't know if this happens in other states, but people typically don't challenge that or anything. There was one time though, I went to my local supermarket. I forgot to bring my mask, and I still forgot that. Oh yeah, we're in the whole wear a mask everything. So it wasn't on purpose. And I walked inside, and I was the only one without a mask, and I was walking around doing my grocery shopping, and then I noticed that some people were staring, and I didn't know why, and then it finally hit me, and I was like, oh shit, I'm like walking around with like no mask on. Everyone has a mask, and like this one dude was staring at me intently, and I was like, is there something on my face or something? And then, you know, he finally hit. So I walked out before like a security or you know, an employee comes and you know, starts, you know, be like, oh, you need to wear a mask here, you know. So I quickly rushed out and, you know, switched my mask up.
Wow.
That's how it goes here.
Wow.
Like
That's
that
crazy.
creepy killer look
Mhm.
when you get that. I've tried that before as well. Like when I was delivering food a couple of weeks ago, walked
Mm.
into this not restaurant, but like I think it was a bagel shop. And then there was this dude in the corner who was just like eyeing me, really like giving me this killer look almost. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't have my mask on either. Shit. So
Wow. Like
when
you're being treated like you're like going inside these places like you're wearing a damn bomb vest or something.
yeah, exactly. Wow. It's just, so I know how you feel, man. It's just, yeah, but I mean, you can forget it sometimes, and like, because this is still, even though we've lived with it for a year, it is still a new thing. I mean, it is not ingrained in our DNA or anything. It is something that we have had to adapt to. So
And it's uncomfortable AF.
yeah, of course.
So
it is.
I'm also like looking forward to when these like mask restrictions vanish. But yeah, like my question is, so pubs and restaurants in America are like holding closed, right? At least in a lot of states. But
Oh, yeah, that's a
Um,
good question.
do these people get like any financial help from the government or the state? Or is it just, you know, like, well, that's on your own ass. It's tough luck. Because
I'm not.
because like at least that's how I understood it from how it had been in Los Angeles and California, that there was like a shit ton of restaurants and bars that had been like, you know, like forcefully closed due to the corona pandemic, at least last year, and they didn't see like a single cent from the government. So
Oh yeah.
so then
Oh yeah. That's.
and you know,
Wow.
like by not doing that, then I'm like thinking like, how the hell can you force these people to close up shop when you do not intend to help them? right?
But the thing is, like, it's really complicated though, because this is nationwide. The not even nationwide, but so look at it this way. So the whole pandemic hits, everyone is in the same boat, right? So now people are expecting the government to step in and help a little bit, which they have to a certain extent with, for example, the stimulus packages. So they definitely have helped, but let's say now you're talking about whole businesses, essentially a bailout in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So that's like you mentioned earlier. I'm not good in economics, but that sounds like a lot of money because it's restaurants, millions of restaurants across the United States. You're talking billions, perhaps trillions of dollars for the bailout. And it's not just that, because they have to generate that income again. And if nobody's going to the stores anyways, there's no income that's being generated. And the main thing is that those restaurants have to like pay their bills, right? To the power lines, the ones that provide energy for electricity and all that stuff, and other like Wi-Fi, all that stuff. So they have to pay those guys out. So I think the best way is that, I'm not sure if this happened across the board, is that there's basically a freeze, like a truce, like all right, we're not going to charge you this, but you'll have to pay it back later, kind of deal.
Yeah.
that went on.
Yeah.
Some people.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, I read about this, and that is that they are like like letting the rent flow, right, and saying that they that they're going, the landlords are going to collect that later, but at the same time, I'm like thinking that what other choice do they have? Because if they evict them, then who's going to take over that place if they're not able to run the business?
Absolutely. So so it doesn't make sense, because a lot of the lenders like, okay, well, a lot of landlords though, unfairly, I've heard of cases where they sort of charge them for all the months they haven't paid, which doesn't make sense because they didn't have a stream of income. I'm talking about the ones that didn't have a stream of income because they lost their job due to COVID. So that part I don't quite understand. I disagree with. It's kind of silly. But the ones that they start charging once the what do you call it, the not the owner, I guess the owner of the house, or the renter, proves that he or she is starting to work again. But in the how do I say this? In the case that they
demand,
in the case yeah, so I mean, yeah, so the landlord, the landlord, I mean, they can give them a buy, they're like, okay, we'll start charging you when you start where you prove that you're starting to work again. Obviously, the details are case by case basis, right? Because some people, it might take them for a while for them to get a job. So I mean, so it gets dicey. But overall, that's where the packages, the stimulus packages, come in handy, because now you can, you can cover those rents for at least for a little bit, while you keep on searching for ways to work, or perhaps even wait it out until your business or your job stabilizes again and can offer you a another spot. But I understand the use of the role of government in situations like this, because it has been unprecedented. I understand the role of government. At the same time, though, we have to be able to, able to cover a little bit for emergency situation, because that's basically what the whole COVID thing is. It's just a massive emergency situation on a on a global scale. Yeah, which sucks, but I mean,
And
yeah.
then on the other
So
end of the spectrum, we have all these big ass conglomerates, these companies like Amazon and and grocery stores that are like or chains that are just growing fatter and fatter because these are the only stores that are open, and so they are making even more money than they already did before the COVID situation because all the small stores are closed. So they're just like the rich, the it's actually like a classic situation of the rich get richer and the poor are wiped out of existence. The poor don't even
well,
they don't even get poorer. They are just wiped out.
Yeah, but there's always going to be those that profit from a crisis. There's always going to be winners and losers.
it's like
Crisis or no
the hand
crisis.
sanitizer people, like
Yeah,
they're balling weirdly the toilet paper companies still.
like I'm just saying, it's an unfortunate, a very very like almost an unfortunate tragedy actually.
I mean, it's unfortunate for sure,
Yeah.
but I don't know about a tragedy because I look at it this way. So the small ones, right? Because there's always small and big. I've not heard of a single capitalist system where it's like everyone's equal. Even in communist systems too, just technically not equal and no.
I would go so far as to say there's no capitalist system where everyone's equal, and there's not even a communistic system where everyone's equal. Nobody is ever equal.
Yeah, exactly.
There will always be
Exactly.
differences between people. But the question is how much of a gap will there be?
Precisely. So in the case of the pandemic, it's like, okay. So I think I mentioned I had this short conversation with OB before. So you know how, for example, everyone's at home. Amazon, they were already huge before COVID, and I mean it just kept going up, right? Because since everyone was at home, the safest way to get what you need, aside from food, is to order online, right? And so Amazon was already at the forefront, and now people rely on Amazon. And then other smaller delivery services similar to Amazon, they just died out. They'll just die out because now everyone's looking at the top dog because they know the top dog has been reliable before and can get what they need quick. And there's a surge of new consumers too that are like, okay, I need to get this now. Usually I will go to the store, but that's not possible. I'm going to use a online service. So what's the one that people is the most trusted or whatnot? Amazon. So they go for that. So Amazon is making bank, and now you have the smaller ones that are suffering because people don't want to take risks because it's a pandemic, right? There's already all those other factors. Yeah, they're probably not going to go for the smaller guy. It's unfortunate, but that's literally the smartest decision they can make as a consumer. Because, you have...
That's where we have the power of the consumer. That is a big factor during these times. Like what you choose, where you choose to buy, and what you choose to buy is of vital importance during these times. Like if buying locally and buying in the small stores, you are literally changing the face of the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like for instance, just today actually, I bought a cord for my Samsung Galaxy A40 because I needed a longer cord for it, and I bought it at a Danish website called avcables.dk. And already just that purchase, that's already going towards because they're very specialized. And the good thing about them is too, of course, this is relevant to any Americans who are listening, but the good thing about them is that they're heavily specialized only within cords. All they sell is cords. They don't sell anything else. So
niche.
That is really cool that they have been able to like still keep afloat during these times. But they're still going strong.
That's good. Yeah, so part of it is like being able to adapt because some
Yeah.
companies they just rebrand, well, not technically rebranded, but sort of like companies. I know there's some companies that didn't specialize in like hand sanitizer, for example, or masks, and they started producing masks. Changing their equipment
Mm.
to produce that. In order to stay afloat, they're still providing you with a product in order to like stay afloat, like you said. So
Yeah.
there's adaptability. Obviously not every business has that capability, but it's you win some, you lose some. It's not everyone can come out unscathed from a situation like this.
No, definitely not. Like, it's about like adapting to also what the needs are. I mean, people, and I gotta admit, like, with this, I deliver for a company called Volt. It's a Finnish company that's a food delivery company, and they are also largely profiting from the Corona crisis because, well, guess what? You can't go to a restaurant anymore. So what do people do? They order food from a delivery service, and then they take in all the profits. So it's all about the demand for what people need, and people need food, and people need cords, people need, so it's all
Wait.
about like seeing what people need.
I'm still wrapping my head around what Mugen said about landlords interrogating their renters with gotten a job yet? Don't get a job yet, you're gonna get evicted, man.
Yeah, and, I mean some of them are pretty shitty. It depends on who you have as a landlord and your area and all that stuff. But there's some that cut some slack because they know like everyone's struggling, so they're lenient. So it's a case by case basis on that note. I don't know if there was like an executive order to be like landlords cannot. I feel like there was. I'm not too sure on that, but
Yeah, it
I wouldn't be
ended.
against it.
It ended like in April, or ends this month, which is going to become a problem because then they have the law on their side if they want to evict the renters. But there was something against it, yeah, where they were not allowed to evict the renters. But still,
Mm.
like a lot of people in America still does it. And again, like it has to be like a really uncomfortable situation to be in, especially when it is not your fault that you don't have a job, and it's not your fault
Right,
that the government doesn't provide a welfare system where you get enough to cover the rent.
right.
So yeah,
Agree.
a really uncomfortable position to be in. I mean, like these people have to feel like really pushed to somehow find the money to survive and pay the rent, or the entire family and 3 kids or whatever goes out in the street. Wow.
Yeah,
Mm.
very tough.
Yeah.
Very tough indeed. I personally know some friends and that have been affected financially, of course, by the whole COVID situation when it first hit. So that it's unfortunate.
Yeah, like
And
your entire life savings could be like gone in less than a year trying to stay afloat. Crazy.
Absolutely. That's why it's very important to save like a lot of young folks. I know in America, for example, how in classes in high school or even in college, depending. I mean, there are exceptions or few instances, I should say. But typically we're not taught to like finances, and how to save money and all that. You kind of like either rely on parents or have to stumble it upon it online. So it's very important too. But it's kind of like a separate conversation. But yeah, saving is very important for
Yeah.
moments like this. Even if it's not enough, it's surely better than you having no savings and then losing your job and then having bills to pay. Right? It's a different
it should
it's a different thing.
it should have been like a class in high school, you know, where they would have, which would have been like, you know, like preparing you for the life outside of school, right? After you're done. Because
A little bit.
I mean, like there has to be like tons of people that are just thrown into this, and has no clue as to how to manage their financials, are reliant on their parents, and I guess like people are like largely also dependent on their parents paying for college, or they need to take a loan in the U.S., right?
Right. Loans. Yeah.
It's actually
crap.
it's just like the 10-finger touch typing course in elementary school. I don't know if you guys attended that. I remembered it was probably in the second or third grade or something of elementary school, where we had like a 2 or 3 week course on it, and there was like, meh, that's good enough. And then afterwards I've like figured out, holy shit, if you think about how much typing there is in jobs today, like how essential that skill is to type on a keyboard, like you should make that course into a half-year course, man.
Yeah, I was just watching a video, I think like a short clip or something
Yeah.
yesterday, I think, or the day before, how there's like there's a demand for, you know, those people that like type things really fast when like not interpreters, but like for example in court cases, you know, those people that type out what's going on
Yeah.
like really fast, or what the judge is saying, the transcripts. I forgot the actual title for their jobs,
Yeah.
but I saw like a whole class of people doing it, and being taught about it, and they were like the top ones, you know. But it's a, I didn't know it was a skill in such demand, because from my point, I was like, dang, maybe a robot can just do that, you know, just say it hears you, and I mean there are programs like that, but maybe not as accurately, because there's also like, you know,
yeah, I agree with regards to like transcription and hearing what is said, but like it's not just about speed though, it's also about just being comfortable with the keyboard. And like people who have their own systems and only type with 4 or 6 fingers, like it's even though it's not about speed, it's still it's a very cramped up position, and they're not comfortable with typing, with writing at all. And so like I think sure you can have. You can have your own system that you're comfortable with, and you take your time, but it will just it just goes a lot quicker. And like having to Google stuff, the more fingers you type with, the more efficient you just are in your daily tasks. That's just,
I just want to helpfully add the job title you couldn't remember, Mugen, is stenographer.
Right, there you go. I was gonna say stern writer or something. Stenographer. Gotcha. Thank you.
What's a stenographer? Now I got curious.
It's the person that is like sitting in a courtroom, transcribing everything down, what's being said between the lawyers, the judges, and the witnesses.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah. Well, that's of course the peak example of where 10-finger touch typing is useful. But I mean, it's not just that. It's like a whole range of other things. Like we're talking office jobs, in like accountant companies. We're talking writing jobs. We're talking.
I don't know, because it's very heavily from job to job, like how much we would type. I mean, like I've worked in like an office job before at a construction firm.
Yeah.
And you know what I did? Like mainly, like when handling complaints from customers and stuff, I would usually just copy paste in an answer I had made in the past to another customer. Like, I will look into this and get back to you within 10 working days.
Yeah, but if you think back, were you seriously just copy pasting, or were there things that you had to edit? Because if I think about like editorials and like, or like editors who are also like editing articles or novels or like any type of text really. Like there you can't just use the mouse. You also have to use a rigorous touch typing system.
Yeah, but it worked, like a lot over the phone, and sending a picture via mail, for instance, and then calling somebody and asking like, "Hey, what do you think about this? Is this something we cover for $10,000, or is this something that I reject?" Right.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I just think that like typing on a keyboard is definitely one of the more important skills in 2021 and forward.
But
and
why not just take your time, have a cup of tea, and just
that's
work
true.
in a comfortable pace, right? Instead of I'm sorry for my words here, but instead of like fapping your way through writing a 50-page assignment or whatever.
You're right, and this is actually one of the more arbitrary. No, what's the word I'm looking for? That when they're like, is it arbitrary or like double-sided, where you have mixed feelings, ambivalent. I have ambivalent feelings about this, because like usually I am very much like I want to. You gotta slow your roll. You gotta take your time. But exactly with typing, I feel like typing needs to work at a fast pace. But maybe it's also because I come from academia. I come from university where you have to Google a lot and you have to research. And research can only be done by being fast on the keys, by being fast at typing search results in, and then you find a lot of articles, then you search for the next thing, then you search for the next thing. And like then touch typing just comes in very handy there, being fast on the keyboard. I don't know, man.
Like I'm feeling stressed just listening to you talking about
it. It is only touch typing though. It is not every other aspect. I would agree with you. Every other aspect in life you need to slow your roll, but touch typing, damn. Keyboard typing needs to go fast, man.
No, man. Oh, not for me.
I don't know. What do you think, Mugen?
I mean, I know there's some form of demand for stenographers and fast types, but I'm assuming you're talking about like if it's in like other kind of jobs, like common jobs that require you to write digitally in some form. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it would be.
Yeah, or just Googling. Or like if you had to, like how many Google searches do you do a day?
I mean, a lot. I mean, I don't count, but probably at least 10 or something like that. You mean on average?
Yeah.
I would say, but it's like quick stuff. But it's like.
And wouldn't you feel more comfortable if you had like a system where you were comfortable, where you were comfortable being real precise in hitting the keys in a matter, like, because that's what touch typing does. It's not just fast, it also trains you to hit the keys more effectively, more precisely. It's not just fast.
I guess I don't quite understand the whole touch typing thing. Is it like
it is
what is touch typing?
It's because I recently started. It's like you use all 10 fingers when you're on the keyboard, instead of just, most people use like 6 to 8 fingers. So or even 4 to 8. So they only use the thumbs for the space bar. They use the 4 fingers mostly, and then maybe the middle fingers, and some maybe use the ring fingers, but the pinky fingers are largely unused, and it's just a lot of waste of we have 5 fingers on each hand, so why not use them all, right? Why do we have to overload each like these first 3 fingers? And then,
I mean, I guess it's the way you, because I was never taught how to type anything. I was just like, my first computer, you just use it on your own, right? So I guess it's because it's easier for the human body to navigate using those same fingers. Uh, but
Yeah,
even so,
but
just using those same fingers, you can still be very quick at typing, though.
yeah, of course you can, and there are actually some studies that, I mean, it's heavily debated as well, and like I've read multiple arguments or multiple articles going forth and back. Like some are argumenting that you don't need to be 10 finger typing to type fast. You can type equally as fast using 6 fingers or 8 fingers.
Yeah,
But
Guess what is considered fast as
but
well? That's another
but as
question.
I have learned, because I recently started this tip 10. It's the program is called tip 10, where you like practice to type more accurately, not necessarily fast. They don't actually like emphasize speed. They just emphasize accuracy, so that you're accurate on the keys, so that you don't make as many mistakes, so that you don't have to spend time going back and hitting the backspace key. Like, think about how many times you actually press the backspace key during a day.
Think about this for a moment. Do you really think like this was such an issue for Fitzgerald or Hemingway back in the 20s and 50s? Or do you think that they just took their sweet ass time using
Yeah,
2 fingers on that old ass
I know.
typewriter they were writing on? I think they took their sweet ass time using
Yeah,
only the 2 fingers and nipping to a scotch or drink now and then and drinking tea and chilling their way through these books. And
it's true.
that is why those books became so great, because they slowed the roll, they took their time, and they produced something, right? Something
Yeah.
great.
To be fair, though, like yeah, I agree with you. If you're writing a piece of a literature or even article or whatnot, yeah, you need to take your time. But I think Troy is talking about more like in the you're an employee kind of scenario, kind of setting. Is that right?
No,
Or
no,
just every
actually,
day?
no. Like just every day, like
Oh, okay.
the fact that you need to be just comfortable with your own keyboard, and like being being more like, because like, maybe it's just because it's frustrating to make, the more errors you make, the more it feels like you're wasting time. I don't know.
Mm.
But because I'm a writer, and I often write short stories, and then it's like
Mm-hmm.
when you mistype, it just feels like that time could be better spent coming up with more creative ideas. Um, and that's why I started.
Literally, like,
Yeah,
are you being serious? I mean, like, you're talking about the few seconds it takes for you to hit the backspace button and just correct the
yeah,
small mistake
yeah,
that you made?
yeah.
You
Because
believe
in
that
yeah,
these
yeah,
seconds
yeah,
are
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
valuable?
Because yeah, and let me explain why. Because while you're writing as a writer, when you're coming up with ideas, you have specific ideas in your head of like, let's say you're writing a scene of a dialogue between two people. You're writing, I don't know, it could be anything, a love scene or something, and then you have an idea, they were going to kiss each other, and you have to write that down. But then you make a mistake, but then you still have the idea of what's going to happen after that, but then you have to type the backspace button, and then you lose that fucking idea because you had to delete the error that you just made.
Why couldn't you just have typed slower and looked at the keys,
because
taking your damn
because
time?
because your thoughts that you have when you're creative, they don't take their time. Your thoughts, they're flowing to your hands, and your hands are just I don't know, maybe it's just me, man, but like, sometimes when I get in that creative mindset, my thoughts are too fast for my
You want to jot
hands.
you want to jot all of them down as
Exactly.
soon as they
Yeah.
pop up in your head.
Exactly.
Okay, I gotcha.
And
But you know,
that's what I struggle with, man. I struggle with that all the time. That my
I think that might be I understand because sometimes that does happen to me sometimes,
yeah,
but I think that's like a personal thing though. It's like you want to jot down,
Yeah.
and then if like your train of thought, right, gets interrupted a little bit,
Yeah.
you forget it. So a skill, I guess, for you, it's important to develop a skill where you're able to continuously keep the train going without it having to slow down, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right, man. That's what it is. So maybe I'm also biased by just
Okay.
wanting to use this 10-finger typing for creative purposes.
I have one more question, Troy, before we end this epic podcast of the evening, and that is, what if you just ignore the mistake and just continue it? You could always correct the mistake later because you would know in a general
Yeah,
sense what it is
yeah.
that you were trying to communicate down on paper.
We could talk. I could talk about this for hours because this is an area that is very sensitive to me because, like, my writing style is very detail oriented, and I
Mm.
don't like to leave errors. I gotta be honest, and that's a
So,
flaw I have. That's something I work with frequently, but I could talk about that for a long time.
All right. Um, and then what do you have some finishing words, Mugen?
um, I really enjoyed the podcast that you have on the whole free thought idea instead of like one focused topics. I think it's pretty nice.
Yeah,
But yeah, in terms of but as to the topic at hand, yeah, skills is like, well, yeah, it's like you're. I feel like you're trying to master your niche essentially as a writer, how to improve your ability as a writer. So not just like creatively, but also physically. So since writers nowadays, it's not really handwritten anymore. It's a lot of typing on computers. So how to be more efficient at doing that. And I agree with I see your point of view. I agree with that. I feel like if I had like the same issue, like losing my train of thought, I would definitely want to find ways to bypass it, such as like improving, being able to type more in less time, I guess. So I mean, sometimes I take like,
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. I've taken before, like those uh what are called words per minute test that you can
Oh
sort of
yeah,
take online.
the
Taking some of that.
typewriter or
Right, right,
what
right.
is it called? Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
I don't even know, but yeah, I think I'm like an average kind of typer, or above average, because a lot of it comes. You can also improve in like other ways. Like gamers, for example, because I play computer games, so over time you develop years of like playing computer games, so you're quick at typing. Your hand-eye coordination is very, very very quick compared to the average non uh gamer. So yeah, there's like small ways like that to improve it. And at the end of the day, nowadays in our day and age, it's always beneficial because it allows you to, you know, send out information quicker, and in return receive information quicker. So it's more efficient. But
Yeah, and I just
it's
and I just want to say, like, if you guys get stressed listening to me about this, I get that, because like it is like like, of course, like, I wouldn't advocate being this enthusiastic in other aspects of your life. Like, if you do anything other than typing, you should not, or even typing other than typing creatively, you should not be fast. You should take your time. But I just want to say, like, compared to a guy that I'm in a writing group with, like, I'm still a turtle, basically, because
oh really?
like he wrote, for instance, he just wrote a message to us that he, because he chose a book that we had to read for last Friday, and he finished it 3 weeks ago. 300-page book by Larry Brooks, Story Engineering, and now he already picked up another book for which he has written 100 pages of notes already.
Sheesh.
And I was like, wow, because I saw it on the screen share as well. Holy boy, man. How
just
do you,
getting
how do you
just
write
getting
that
stressed
much?
just getting stressed listening to that.
Yeah. So yeah,
but,
no, you should take your time, definitely. You should take your
definitely.
time.
All right, folks. I want to thank you, Mugen, and thank you, Troy, for taking your time to come on the podcast today. Hopefully we'll do this again real soon. Thank you, guys.
All right, no problem, man.
Yeah, my pleasure.